instead of watching this show. That's a show about a man who wants to himself because his wife has cancer, and it's still more fun than this, okay? Spoiler alert, season 2 is on the way, so in the end, he obviously didn't himself, just like... Shut up! I know he's your friend, but I don't care.
The video opens with comedian Ricky Gervais mocking Hollywood during the 2020 Golden Globes. He jokes about a depressing TV show and then suddenly brings up Jeffrey Epstein, saying, "I know he's your friend, but I don't care." The camera immediately cuts to TomHanks, whose shocked facial expression quickly becomes viral across social media. What first looked like a funny, awkward celebrity moment soon turned into one of the...
Still working, they're still out there, and they're some of the richest, most powerful people in this business.
Sarah Ruth Ashcraft on Twitter, who has been accusing Tom Hanks of her when she was 13. Her dad sold her to Tom Hanks.
Since when has this brand of common decency and professionalism been put on hold just because of dynamics in the workplace?
As the clip spread online, people began analyzing Tom Hanks' reaction frame by frame. Many questioned why the camera focused directly on him during the Epstein joke, and why he appeared visibly uncomfortable. Over time, internet users connected the moment to older rumors, accusations, and online conspiracy theories involving Hollywood elites. The video claims that what started as a simple comedy roast slowly evolved into a much darker conversation about powerful celebrities and hidden...
What made you think, you know what, I'm just going to hammer him? I don't care what the...
Well, I thought, when they said, do you want to host the Golden Globes, all that stuff I said in the show was true. I said, I'm going to write my own jokes. Right? And I thought, who do I pander to? The 200 richest people in the room, or the 200 million people watching at home who aren't winning awards, who aren't millionaires? And it was a no-brainer. I was doing it.
The documentary-style narration then revisits several controversial internet claims involving Tom Hanks. It mentions unverified accusations from social media personalities, strange Instagram posts that some people interpreted as cryptic messages, and even rumors surrounding Tom Hanks and his wife receiving Greek citizenship. The narrator also references the release of so-called EpsteinFiles, which fueled online speculation and caused conspiracy communities to revisit old celebrity rumors. However, many of these claims remain unproven.
Cannot go on a billionaire's boat to Tahiti with a former president of the United States and not keep it secret, for God's sake.
Watching this show, that's a show about a man who wants to kill himself because his wife dies of cancer, and it's still more fun than this, okay? Spoiler alert, season 2 is on the way, so in the end, just like Jeffrey Epstein.
No.
Shut up! I know he's your friend, but I don't care.
The focus then shifts back to Ricky Gervais and his Golden Globe speech. Ricky explains that he never intended to please the wealthy celebrities in the room, and instead wanted to entertain ordinary viewers watching from home. He defends controversial comedy by arguing that freedom of speech and satire are important, even when jokes make powerful people uncomfortable. According to him, comedy should challenge taboos and expose hypocrisy.
Hanks is hiding a very dark secret. Who could forget Forrest Gump and Toy Story and even The Polar Express? One of my favorite movies of all time and franchises was Toy Story. And now you and I both know that Tom Hanks voices Woody, right? Oh, we're wrong. In the 90s is when Woody first burst onto the screen with the rest of the toys in Toy Story. And I'm sure we all remember Tom Hanks' voice saying, "There's a snake in my boot," or "You are a toy!" Yeah, but what if I told you that Tom Hanks didn't really do all of it? So in the franchise itself, Tom Hanks has 10 credits as Woody. There's someone with even more, which means that Tom Hanks doesn't voice Woody as much as the other person, which then means that Woody is somebody else, statistically speaking. And that person is the one and only Jim Hanks. That's right, his brother. Jim has 24 credits as Woody, and Jimbo has made a career off of impersonating his own brother. So we actually hear Jim Hanks doing an impersonation of his brother doing Woody. Jim as Woody can be heard in TV shows, films, and other merchandise.
The video next explores the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein and how his influence allegedly protected him for years. It describes how Epstein targeted vulnerable teenage girls, many from difficult backgrounds, and used money and manipulation to exploit them. Despite serious accusations and evidence, Epstein received a controversial plea deal in 2008 that allowed him to avoid a federal trial and serve a very light sentence. Critics argued that the justice system failed the victims and protected a
The thing about offence, isn't it? When people say they're offended, it's that just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right, you know? Offence is about feelings, and feelings are personal. Some people are offended by equality. So what? You know, so you can't second-guess people. If you try and please everyone, you'll please no one. With comedy as well, I think you've got to deal with taboos and contentious issues, and sometimes you deal in irony, and some people don't get that. But, you know, you can't legislate against stupidity, otherwise you'll be doing nothing, you know, because I'm not doing it for the 200 egos in the room. I'm doing it for the 200 million people watching around who aren't winning awards, who aren't millionaires. And freedom of speech is so important these days. I've reached the age now where I don't care anymore. It's a sin. To joke about all the bad things, that's a waste. Because that's exactly what we should joke about. If you can laugh in the face of adversity, you're bulletproof.
He is totally right about all of this. And also, the minute he steps off set, every one of the harpies of The View will attack him.
The documentary also discusses how Epstein allegedly maintained relationships with influential politicians, celebrities, professors, and business elites. Flight logs, address books, and court documents reportedly connected him to many famous individuals. Although being associated with Epstein does not automatically prove criminal involvement. The narrator claims that Epstein's network included powerful enablers who helped protect him, silence victims, and avoid accountability for years while his abuse operation expanded across multiple locations, including New York, Florida.
Go on at Zorro.
So twisted and so dark.
Jeffrey Epstein's mansion of horrors in the middle of nowhere.
Some of the most heinous things that anyone could imagine.
Place so evil.
Both died by strangulation during rough fetish sex.
No one could hear his victim's screams.
He destroyed my life.
That's next on 60 Minutes.
The Zorro Ranch in New Mexico sounds like it could be a desert Disneyland. After all, it was named after...
Closer look at what's been called a sweetheart deal, the 2008 agreement that let Jeffrey Epstein avoid a federal trial and serve just 13 months in prison, despite evidence he had underage girls. That deal was negotiated by Alex Acosta, the ex-U.S. attorney in southern Florida and former labor secretary who served during President Trump's first term, before he resigned in 2019 once the plea deal came back under the spotlight.
It's very clear that Alex Acosta ran a deeply flawed investigation of the Epstein case. He also would not admit that Mr. Epstein received a sweetheart.
Another section focuses on actors like Jim Caviezel and Ricky Gervais, portraying them as public figures who allegedly try to speak out against abuse and corruption in Hollywood. The video claims that people who challenged powerful systems risked losing careers, facing public ridicule, or being blacklisted by the entertainment industry. It also argues that many survivors felt ignored for years while influential figures continued protecting themselves behind wealth, fame.
Sweeping this under the rug are over. We, the survivors, say no more. If Ghislaine Maxwell were pardoned, it would undermine all the sacrifices I made to testify and make mockery of mine and all survivors' suffering.
We are not going away. We are not going to be quiet, and we are not going to...
Files released, and it's like a total 180.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
He campaigned, he said, look, we're going to release the files. And what has been disappointing is we've, for the last 5-6 months, have had to fight the administration at every step of the way, which gets me to believe, like, who...
Toward the end, the documentary criticizes the justice system's handling of Epstein's case. It describes the unusual privileges Epstein allegedly received during his jail sentence, including work release, private accommodations, and special treatment unavailable to ordinary prisoners. Victims and activists argue that true justice was never delivered, especially after Epstein's death prevented a full criminal trial. The video concludes by saying the Epstein scandal exposed deeper systemic failures involving wealth, influence, and the protection of powerful individuals, while many questions still remain unanswered today.
Actually, in his private cell, the door was open. Epstein's cell door was left unlocked, and he had access to the attorney room where a television was installed for him. I want to make that clear. So he is not only allowed to leave his room whenever he wants, allowed to leave the sheriff's office for 12 hours a day, including one day of the weekend, because it's 6 days a week. They also went through an effort to install a television for him in the attorney's room. Not even the attorneys got that.